Today's Sunshine Note is titled, Who is Lying? On the first day of the week, very early in the morning, the women took the spices they had prepared and went to the tomb. Luke chapter 24:1. He burst through the doors of my classroom dressed like a crazy person, threw the stack of copies right in my face and began to yell at me. My students watched in silent horror as my usually sane husband turned into a raging lunatic. He was a sight to behold. He wore one solitary glove, mismatched shoes and socks, a vest, sweater and 2 hats, and carried backpacks and water bottles suspended from carabiners on his belt loops. Shouting that he'd never again make my copies, he stomped out of the room. Every face in the class registered disbelief. "Take out a piece of paper," I ordered them calmly, "and write down everything you saw, every word, every action. Leave out no detail. Go." Later we collected all their accounts of the incident and had a pretty good laugh. Some students were horrified, others were scared. A few thought it was funny and several figured out it was staged. But every single account was different. They remembered our words differently, and since nobody was completely accurate on what he was wearing, we brought him back in to compare. Only 1 out of 74 saw his Band-Aid. Have you ever wondered why the 4 Gospels give different details about the same event? I mean, are there mistakes in the Bible? They can't all be right. Take the resurrection of Jesus. How many women were at the tomb? Matthew says the 2 Marys were there, but Mark lists 3 women. John says only Mary Magdalene. Did they go at dawn, or while it was still dark? Who met them? Matthew says 1 angel. Mark says a young man in a white robe. Luke says 2 men in white, and John says Jesus himself. Which is right? And why would the Bible contain any variation if it is truly inspired? Is this reason to doubt? Did Jesus really even rise? As my students found out that day that Greg burst in, the fact that people notice different details is normal. As in a court case, if all the stories match exactly, it very likely shows that people got together and made everything up. But the fact that people remember the scene differently means it was recorded by real people who were really there and were impacted by different things. Its variety is actually proof of its validity. If you ever question the Bible, be encouraged. God let man write it, but he was still behind it. And as for the tomb, they all agree it was empty. Jesus is alive. May God bless you today.